Greetings and welcome back to the World Numismatic News as we now take a look at the Lincoln cent varieties that you can look for from 1951. Let's start off with a proof coin variety for this date, and one of the very first proof varieties for the series at that. This is a case of class 2 or distorted hub doubling, where the doubling displays mostly towards the rim of the coin. A good example of this is seen on the letters of "In God We Trust," where you can clearly see the doubling on all letters, with the spread seemingly taking place towards the center of the coin. You can look towards the word trust specifically. The U shows excellent doubling towards the bottom of the letters and makes for a fairly reliable touchstone for identifying this variety. There is also additional doubling on the letters of liberty and the date, but depending on the exact emission sequence of the coin you have, these may not display as strongly as the previously described features. An example of this variety, graded as proof 67 plus red by PCGS, was sold at auction in 2024 for the sum of $7,800. Then we can move along to the Denver Mint for the remainder of the varieties for this date, and the first coin to look for is another doubled obverse example. This time though it is class 5 or pivoted hub doubling on the coin. Here we can look towards the letters of "In God We Trust," specifically at the letters of "God We," where the letters of God display clear separation lines, particularly towards the top left-hand side of the G and the O, where the W and the E of we should also be doubled quite unmistakably, with doubling displaying mostly towards the right in this case. Now, the T of trust is also usually a good example of the doubling with clear notching towards the upper right side of the crossbar of the T. The reason I point out these specific features for the doubling is that even in a later die state, these could still be used to identify the variety. The notching to the upper right side of the T of trust, while the separation lines on the W and even the E of we might fade, the letters will be thicker than usual. This would be especially noticeable on the W, and the separation line seen towards the top of the letters of God also remains quite evident, even though some of the other details might fade. In 2023, a PCGS graded example at a grade of MS66 red was sold at auction for the total of $562. Then we can look at the first of not one, but two D over S popular over mintmark varieties known for this date. For the first coin, look towards the top right of the D mintmark just below the top serif, where you should see the top rounding of the initial and underlying S mintmark, as the top was impressed directly over top of an S. In addition to this, and somewhat dependent on the condition of the coin that you find, there will also be a remnant of the lower serif of the S directly south and slightly southeast of the serif of the D. And if the die state of the coin is early enough, there can also be a small remnant of the initial S towards the lower right curve of the D. In 2024, a PCGS graded example of this coin, slabbed as MS67 red, was sold at auction for $2,316. And then moving right along to the next over mintmark variety for the 1951 D penny. This one is not quite as dramatic as the previous coins, but remains a fun and fairly easy variety to look for. The only true remnant that we can see of the initial S mintmark is the rounding towards the bottom right of the D, at first glance giving it the appearance of a D over D repunched mint mark. But studying it more closely soon reveals that the initial impression was, in fact, an S mint mark instead. And again, even in lower grades, this variety should be fairly straightforward to identify. In 2022, this coin, graded as PCGS MS66 Red, was sold at auction for the sum of $219. Then there are also a number of other minor repunched D over D varieties known for this date, so be sure to keep an eye out for any indication thereof. But I'd like to draw your attention to a variety that seems to have fallen out of favor in recent years, for various reasons. The key identifying characteristic is a cud, or a die break, inside the cavity of the 5 in the date. It can be a relatively small break towards the top inside rounding of the number, or a more severe case that fills the entire inner cavity of the number as well. The only known slabbed, fully red example of this variety was sold at auction in 2023, graded by PCGS as MS64 Red for $815. Subscribe to WNN and feel free to watch a video about the 1949 Lincoln cent variety coins you can look for next, right here. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.